Tiffany.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Tiffany Epiphanies. I'm your host, Tiffany Black.
And I am the co-host, Kiana Porter-Isom. Excited to be joining you again.
Thank you for coming on back.
I know.
Looks like you guys had a good time with it last time. I decided to see what she had to say this week about finance.
Right? I have a lot to say about finance. It's one of my favorite things to talk about.
Today we're gonna give you guys a few tips to know if your finances are together.
Yes.
Some people think they're together.
And they really aren't, and that's okay.
It's okay.
We're gonna give you some tips for how to get where you want to be financially and thinking about your finances 5, 10, 20, 50 years from now. So we're gonna get right into the content. And so with finances, of course, you won't end up in 10 years or 15 years, hopefully, where you are today. And so you're just constantly setting goals and then determining what is the next step, what is the next goal, how can I continue to level up in my financial goals.
Yeah, and the first step for that is
to make a budget. So ask yourself, am I living on a budget?
Yeah, and basically that's like what we talked about before. A budget is just a plan.
Yeah.
And I used to think of a budget as like just something that's telling me what I can't have. But she explained last night that it doesn't have to mean that it's something that you can't have. It's more along the lines of telling your money what it needs to do before you get it.
Where it goes awry is when you spend $1,000 eating out and your light bills aren't paid, or you're not meeting your savings goals, or you want to go on a trip that you can't go on because you've eaten all of your money. And so it's just having that plan.
I'm just gonna say this and keep it real. I need a budget.
Okay.
And I think that I've always viewed it as I don't have enough to budget, so I don't be budgeting, but I need to get it together. And this is kind of like a Tiffany Epiphany moment, not even like one I wanted to really have up in here. But I used to be better at it when I had less because I couldn't afford to not have one. I couldn't afford to.
You couldn't afford to not have a plan.
Yeah. And now that some stuff has loosened up a bit. Yeah. I still feel like I don't have a lot, and I still feel like, I'm only eating when I'm hungry, but
that's the freedom, that's the great thing about a budget is I heard you say when things loosen up. So that means that your budget has loosened up. And so now determine, well, what are you going to do with that looseness? Are you going to let it evaporate into the air and you have no idea what happened to it? Or are you going to sit down and make a plan and decide strategically, this is what I will do with, the overflow or the surplus?
And fine for that. I have admitted that I need to get a budget and that I don't have one, and I just be swiping my card when I get hungry. So, because this is a perfect time to get a fresh start, right?
Yeah.
We are halfway through 2017.
Yeah, getting ready to start a new month. So, beginning of the month is ideally when you should do a budget. But that doesn't mean don't start now. If you're paid bi-weekly or every week, just take what you're going to get paid in the next pay period and budget that out just to get a feel for what that feels like. I think it'll free a lot of people.
Yeah. So, I'm going to do it. If I can solicit your help,
definitely
to help me with a budget.
Point number 2 is to have that rainy day fund. And so, how did our grandmother always say it?
Put you a little something to the side.
Put you a little something to the side. And I didn't fully understand what that meant until I was in college at FAM, always broke. Never had any money. And it's I wish I would have put something to the side for these days.
So when you had a little extra.
When I had a little extra, I should have put something to the side. We're talking about saving. What are some things that we save for? Well, obviously we save for emergencies, car repairs, your roof starts leaking, the kids need emergencies. But what other things we save for?
Bundles.
Yeah. We save for bundles?
I mean,
it's fine. Some people save for bundles. I'm not judging if you want to save for bundles. Whatever it is that costs a large sum of money relative to your income, you would save for it.
Right.
And so that's where that rainy day or that savings fund comes in handy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How much do we need for a rainy day fund?
What do I suggest?
Yes.
I suggest 3 to 6 months of your household expenses as a goal, as a target. Start where you are, right?
Okay.
Start where you are.
So we have 7 points, and this one is the third. It's not my favorite at all.
I can tell by the way you're talking.
Relax. It is take a debt assessment and then start eliminating debt. I'm gonna just start off by saying this. Like, my only debt for real,
student loans.
It's only student loans, and like literally, if I could sell my degree back, Sally Mae can come and pick it up.
She can't. She can't have mine back.
She can have all mine back. She can have the acting certificate. She can have the degree from Florida. She can have all of it back, honey.
If you can't afford to pay cash for it, you can't afford it. Most people think of affording things as can I afford the monthly payment.
Yeah, and that's not really what it is.
That's
you cannot, because really you don't own it until you pay it off.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was one of the harsh realities that I made myself face when I transitioned out of LA and went to Atlanta. When I still got to Atlanta, I was still on the bus, and that was just so devastating for me.
Yeah.
But by that point, I had already been introduced to Dave Ramsey and been introduced to basically cash being king.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm already on the bus, so I might as well stay here until I can get myself in a better situation, because the last thing I've ever wanted to do was get in a situation where I make myself worse off. And I felt, be car poor. And it's hard.
It's hard when your peers are pulling up in Benzes and
I have
Beamers
so many friends that have Benz
nice cars
down. Our next point is planning for retirement. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
It feels so unrealistic to plan for not being able to work, but I'm still trying to land my dream job. I'm not about to sit here and be planning for the golden years when, quite frankly, I don't know if I'm going to see those.
Yeah. But you have to keep in mind that, life expectancy in the U.S., you're so uninterested. Life expectancy in the U.S. is, like, for women, it's like 80, 90 years old. Like, it's
really?
high. It's high. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's high. So research says that you're going to live a long time.
Okay.
Right? And so what are you going to do when you can no longer physically work? Social Security may or may not be here. So we have to put a plan in place for ourselves for retirement.
No Social Security, no social media. Nothing social. There's nothing social going on in your retirement.
Start where you are. Start small. But just start to research. What is an IRA? What is a Roth IRA? Does your job have a 401k? Are you contributing to it? Just think about, where do you want to be at 65, age 70? How do you want to live at age 65, 70? There's two types of retirement accounts. There's an IRA and there's a Roth IRA. The IRA, you put money in, and as it grows, because it's invested in mutual funds, as it grows, when you take it out, you pay taxes on what you put in and what you take out.
Okay.
A Roth IRA is beautiful. That's what I have. I love it because you put money in, but as it grows, when you take it out, you don't pay any taxes on the growth. Right? And so when you look at compound interest and how that works, the money you take out, most of it is growth. It's not what you put in.
Okay.
Like, you could put in something like, I think it's like $1,000, and if you don't touch it for 30 years, it grows to like $1 million. But most of that money is growth. So with the Roth IRA, you don't pay any taxes when you pull it out on the growth, but you have to leave it into your retirement age. And I think it's like 59 and a half. And our last point is generosity. Okay. And for me as a Christian, that means tithing.
Yeah.
And I have admired you so much because, as far as I know, even when you did not have much, the one thing that you kept consistent in your finances was the generosity of the tithe and keeping that in place. And I respect you so much for doing that.
Thank you. Even though I don't have a lot, and my house is not big.
I want you to stop saying that. You have so much.
Fine. Even though I'm working towards some new financial goals.
There we go.
I have always felt like I've always been covered, and I've always been taken care of, and I've always eaten. I've always been able to have hot water and shelter. And for that, I owe God. I gotta pay him first. So I do tithe. I always tithe, no matter how much I have.
I always feel like if the more my tithe increases, that means I'm just making so much more money, and I'm all here for that.
Right.
I do want to say, don't let this intimidate you. Like, I'm sitting up here talking like I'm an expert, but like I'm really not. There are months where my budget is just completely so far off that I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I don't get it right all of the time. I overspend when I shouldn't. I shop on Amazon way too much. I'm a work in progress, and you just have to keep
Amazon. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me again.
I think I had several epiphanies.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Me too.
Well, my first one is become so financially secure that you forget it's payday.
And I think this is the first time that the co-host gets an epiphany.
I have one.
But my epiphany is from Dave Ramsey, and it is that a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Yeah, right?
Please make sure you guys like and subscribe, and we will keep this going. Just like and subscribe, right?
Like and subscribe. Thank you guys for joining us today.
I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Happy Monday, everyone. My name is Makiva Jenkins, business strategist and coach with the Prime Enterprise Group. I'm just here really quickly to talk about goal setting as it is Monday. The best time to set your goals for the week is either on a Sunday or a Monday so that you know what you're working towards for this current week. And Wednesday should be the time that you do a midweek check-in to see what has been completed and what still needs to be done. So if you are struggling with possibly completing your goals or even setting out your goals, take a listen into my podcast on goal setting. You can find it in iTunes under the Business Planners Podcast. And I hope this is helpful information for you. Have a productive week, and I'll check in with you guys later. Bye.
Tiffany, last name Hustle, baby. Tiffany, last name Hustle, baby.